As a kid, Bode was very independent, as all my children were, but he's spent a lot of time by himself, off doing things that he wanted to do. It didn't matter if anybody else wanted to do them or not.
I was the second of 4 kids, and we were raised pretty much off the grid for my first 7 or so years, 8 years of my life. I had no school. I did all my schoolwork at night, more or less, so I had days to do everything I wanted. And being next to Cannon Mountain, we're pretty short distance, 6 miles or so from Cannon, and it was a small enough area where my mom and family were pretty comfortable just dropping me off, letting me have the day up there.
Skiing was just something we did all the time. The lifties and all the guys at the mountain knew us.
It was a function of the family in a way. I mean, we lived way up in the woods, and so we used cross-country skis a lot of the time to get up and down.
Since he was homeschooled, basically his phys ed component of that was skiing every day or half a day. I took him to his first proper ski race. He was just a young kid, a young shy kid. In fact, I think there was probably 3 or 4 entrants in his age group. It was probably a U8 race down at Vail. He won his age group, and he was almost too shy to go up to the podium. He didn't want to get his award up on the podium, so I had to say, Bode, this is part of what you have to do. And the funny thing is, he always, awards weren't really what his goal was ever in that. It's almost ironic that it started at a young age.
West Coast girl, East Coast attitude. This guy's got attitude galore, and he's ready to kill it here today.
Number one, he's a phenomenal athlete. He can do things that some people can't. And he has an amazing head for competition. He's very calm and alert and in the moment.
Unbelievable performance by this man who continues to captivate American sports fans across the court.
I think for both he and Darren really opened the U.S. and North America to the fact that we could be competitive in a Europeans game.
Leaving nothing behind. He is really taking it to this hill. He's taking a really tight line, but he's so strong in his edges.
In my mind, it's a little bit like the Tour de France, and much like the bicycling stars, Le Mans and Lance Armstrong showed that they could be competitive in Tour de France. I think these guys completed the same thing in the ski racing world.
Here he comes, Bode Miller chasing Darren Rawl.
I think it was important for us as a team and me individually to show that we can be competitive on a world stage.
I would ask him questions like, hey man, like last night in video, I watched video of you and you were like 10 feet inside everybody else's line. Like, did you mean to be there? And he's like, oh yeah, of course I did. And I was like, why? He's like, because I can pull it off.
So tight in his line, so smooth. He is a master of releasing the turn, getting on the tail. Oh, holy crow, a course worker has just slid right in front of him. I've never seen that before, Todd.
It doesn't come down to just like making nice, clean turns sometimes. It's about knowing where to go, where to hold back, like how to trim line.
Bode has always been known as one of those guys generate tail to tail where no one else can. Like you said, he is untouchable in giant slalom.
And he also had an attitude that was perfect for downhill, because it was kind of an attitude that was like, all right, I don't care, I'm gonna do what I want to do, go where I want to go. Like I see speed in this turn, and nobody else is doing it, but I think I can do it.
Darren and Bode inspired me when I made the team. The first time I made the World Cup team and started training with the speed guys, I was in Portillo, and Darren would go down and lay down this run, and Bode would be like, oh yeah, watch this. And Bode would beat him, and Darren would be like, yeah, all right, watch this. And they just kept pushing each other to different heights. And I was just like, that's cool.
Teammate sitting in first place down at the bottom. He knows he's got to try and catch him. These guys are best friends, but they're also pushing each other's intensity.
Pretty much always knew that I was gonna go to 4 events. It was just natural for me, because some racers are not downhillers. They're just not. I was definitely not in that category, but that was a part of what I was proud of. I won slaloms by huge margins in some cases, and then I won GSs the same way, and I won downhills the same way.
Tim Bode's success started in slalom, the first World Cup race he won, but now because he's won in all 4 events, it's just amazing. He's joined the other 4 fellas that have done that, Mark Giardelli, Amat, Zurbriggen, and Gunther Matter.
And, you know, he started out as an athlete with an immense amount of speed and not necessarily the ability to put it through the finish line all the time. Once he managed that piece of it and started getting through the finish, it was hard to stop me.
He can turn him solid through there, and again.
As he got more interested in downhill and Super G, it was more stressful. All of us, we just like, after seeing him crash once, you just have that fear for life in you that you don't want him to hurt himself, you don't want his career to be over.
I stopped watching after Beaver Creek. I don't even remember the exact year when he had a bad crash, and I was there seeing that crash, and then it made me sick to my stomach. And so from then on, I had to wait until I knew the results before I'd watch.
He always brought a different spin and a different kind of mentality. He just had an incredible eye for how to find speed in a course.
Bode had a sense of the fall line and acceleration, deceleration. He also had the skill sets, the technical fundamentals of skiing, down to where he could actually pull off what he knew was going to be faster.
Until somebody tries it, a lot of people just, their mind doesn't go there. They don't have the imagination, or they don't have the desire to explore what's maybe possible. There's a lot of times throughout my career where I wanted to do something that was not at all what people were normally doing, and Kitzbühel was a spot where 2 or 3 different times I got shut down. They put up B-net fences where I wanted to ski to prevent me from doing what I wanted to do, just because they didn't want to change. They didn't want something different to happen.
I think it was probably 2009 maybe, where he skied up onto the fence and, you know, still pulled off second. You know, that's pretty unbelievable.
One ski started dragging because the Kevlar, the heat between his ski and the Kevlar started melting, so it dragged his feet back, so he had to get his other foot up there to get that one not free, but just to balance himself, and then he had to pop off it and land and keep going.
They only had an entry gate, and then they had a gate in the middle of the side hill, but it had no outside, so it's just a single gate that more or less says you can't go above that. And we were coming out onto the road going like around 65 miles an hour, and I ran it in inspection, and I just went straight down the style line, and instead of trying to fight across that hill and going across the basketball, I just went straight down the whole thing, and standing up ran all the way around the fence, so I was 2 or 3 feet from the fence the whole way on this really dry, perfect snow. And I came out onto the road going way fast, with all my clothes on, going way faster than I was in the races. Some people saw me do it, and some of the coaches saw me do it, and they kind of knew. And then the Norwegians were asking me about it, and then they told Huyara, and Huyara put up all B-nets all the way through the whole thing, so I couldn't do it.
Bode is an entertainer. He does things his own way. You know, there's some good sides and some bad sides to that.
I think the rebel part comes from being a Miller or even a Kenny, that we don't like people telling us what to do.
I certainly cost myself a lot of races by my behavior and my stuff that I did in my life, but winning was not the only thing that I was focused on. And I think that's confusing for a lot of people, except that if you think your own life, you're not solely driven by one thing, you're driven by a lot of different things. And I was giving up college and other times where, you know, as a young person you can go out and go crazy and have fun, and I wasn't willing to sacrifice that.
He's known for electrifying performances, but every one of his performances had every single coach on the sidelines, every single fan in the bottom, they would just go silent, and they would give him attention like you would see, you know, a real artist get that attention, like what is he going to do now? It's absolutely unpredictable, but knew there's going to be some brilliance coming up.
Back seat, shinning gates off, and you're like, how is that fast? He's got the green light.
I think a ski career is more akin to like art than a lot of athletic careers, just because it's an individual thing. There's not really a direct competition with other athletes. It's more of time trialing and, you know, you're competing against the mountain, but there's a lot of style to it and there's a lot of personality. And over the course of a long career, you see a lot of who the person is come out through the sport and through the way that they do it.
When we would go to Kitzbühel, and the enthusiasm of those European fans, it was just mind-blowing. They would follow him in herds and just chanting, Bode, Bode. I would go in there and be like, there's 80,000 people here and they all know who he is.
He's like the Tom Brady of skiing over there, and he has a shirt that says, I'm big in Europe, and he loves it. He's like, I am, this is real.
Bode had his own RV, and we had a bus that would go around and take us to all the venues over there. So we'd pull in, and if it was a downhill at Val Gardena, we'd pull right into the bottom near the ski lift, or Kitzbühel right next to the gondola. And we were all comfortable, and Bode was comfortable, he was motivated.
He wouldn't feel content with his own performance had he not pushed the limits. And so for him, that was a part of his character and a part of what made him who he was. And if he skied safe and finished and won a run, he wouldn't be happy with himself. So for him, it was more about his own personal expectations, and what gave him fulfillment in his career was really pushing his own envelope.
I wasn't the most talented ski racer, and if you want to win, you have to find a way to beat everybody else out there one way or another, and that in a lot of cases comes down to whether you can manage your risk well.
He showed that you don't have to ski by the book to be fast. He was technically completely off the book.
His feeling for timing was incredible.
There was times when I was like, Bode, hey, you gotta give a little bit here to gain a lot down there. And that was always tough for him, to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna give a little bit more here and I'm gonna gain down there.
His greatest asset was skiing not for results, but skiing for absolute full athletic expression to the very end of his ability. And that, to me, that's probably what I was proudest of seeing him do.
I would never want to change where I am right now. I think, to come out of my career with faculties in order for the most part, and be able to have my kids and everything the way it went. In the end, it was a complete package that I'm really pleased with, so I don't really regret anything.
I miss a guy like Bode on the tour now. Yeah, there should be someone like him. Should bring some rock and roll back to the tour.